Hi everyone. I am here to answer a few questions because I think I have been all over the map with MECFS. And I'm going to today talk about being bedridden and what helped me to move past that phase of recovery. It was a 7-year stretch. And at that time there was no internet, there was no medical support really. And the days were long, it was very difficult. So one of the things I had to ultimately learn to do was accept where I was at and to just sort of create a soothing space where I was. Right? Medical medium calls it Mattress Island. So I would always have this little kit beside my bed, things that were helpful, and I did feel soothed by having these things. So something like salt, right? So I could get my electrolytes in. I would have a little teaspoon and take a 1/4 teaspoon of this and make sure I was staying hydrated. I would have some nice cream. This is coconut oil with, peppermint essential oil, and I would just like smell it, which was nice. And then I had other things like the Virgin Mary, I had my rosary, I had a little Bible, I had, my gosh, so many things. I had my tube of BioFreeze, right? So when the flares got so severe, just to rub this on, the menthol rub, just little things, something I could spray like a nice rose water. And, accepting is probably the hardest step, and I think the first step. Because sometimes we're just forced into accepting a situation like this is what's happening right now. And we spend a lot of time resisting it and fighting it, and it uses up energy that could be used for healing. And I didn't know that back then, and probably that's one reason why I stayed bedridden for 7 years, because I didn't realize that I hadn't really accepted where I was. I tried, but I hadn't. So accepting and then creating a soothing space where you are, which may be in bed. And just breathing, learning to breathe and let go. So taking the time to really, because that's your exercise when you're bedridden. So just learning to take the time to do some box breathing, or some physiological sighs, which I like. So that would be an inhale and then a short inhale. So and then just really feeling the body letting go and just practicing that. That is actually a form of exercise, okay? So learning to breathe and playing around with different breathing techniques that feel calming to you. Okay, this is very individual. No one can sort of say, do this and it's going to work. You have to play around with them. The third thing that I think is calming messages of safety. Now, after the 7 years, I started to improve because I felt calmer. I had a great specialist in Toronto. And I got pregnant, and during the pregnancy, a lot of my symptoms changed and fell away. But in 2015, I relapsed. And that's when I started learning about the importance of the autonomic nervous system and meditation. And I was introduced to it through the Gupta program. And so I started doing the soften and flow and the body meditations. And at first, I was so activated in my nervous system that I almost felt panicked doing meditation. But over time, it got easier and easier. And I started noticing that, wow, some of my symptoms are actually falling away. So incorporating acceptance, practicing breathing on a daily basis in a way that is soothing and calming, and then calming messages of safety. So again, learning that safety comes in various forms. If we have a space of acceptance within us, then our nervous system can start to dial down a little bit. If we have a soothing environment, we've got our little box of tricks and things we like. We could have like something else, like a super soft, cozy blanket, right? This feels soothing. And this is something that can make you feel calm, right? And then daily gentle movement. Now, if you are horizontal, sitting up is a challenge. It was for me. So that would be my exercise, that and range of motion. So I would begin with like the breathing stuff. I think I was doing the 4-7-8 breath. And then I started to just move the parts of my body that were meant to move in a circular motion. So just doing little bits of, wrists, ankles, just, sort of turning my head side to side, and nice and slow. I would do maybe a minute of that. I didn't really time it. It really used my intuition as to what my body wanted to do. Some of the other things were bending my knees and letting my feet feel the sensation of the blanket or the sheet, bending my knees and letting them go straight. Just this really easy, light, gentle movement. Always made sure I had water beside my bed at all times, again, and my salt. And then the movements were sitting up and lying down. And sometimes it could be just inching my way up and taking some long, slow breaths and then lying down again. And that's the exercise. That's how you start gentle movement. You can't start it by getting up and walking, or saying, okay, I'm gonna do 3 laps around my living room and go back to bed, because for some people that will make the symptoms come on quite strong. It has to be low and slow, because this also creates safety. If we're doing it low and slow, the nervous system has time to adjust to the change in position, or to the just the different angles, what your eyes are seeing. Everything needs time, and you need patience. So after doing these things, this is really, really basic. I was able to start sitting on the side of the bed. And then I was able to use a walker and do a little, maybe go to the washroom and then come back to bed, and maybe do that once. That would be it for the day. It's really important, though, I now know, to not overthink any of this, because thinking about every step and micromanaging it all will keep you in a state of hypervigilance. And I know now that the nervous system is such a huge piece of this that it's really important to keep sending messages of safety, whatever that is for you, so that you can increase your movement time over time. You have to be patient. Just do what you can. This will change day to day. Also know that some days you feel like you can do a lot more. But should you do a lot more on those days? I'm going to say no. do a little bit more, but then come back and make sure that through that day you are getting little bits of calm sprinkled throughout your day, right? And that's a whole other topic on pacing, which I could address in another video. So I hope this is helpful. This is only part one. There are other steps to getting moving and to be able to, do exercise, which I'm now able to do. And I will follow up with a part two. Have a great day.